In France, Prime Minister Gabriel Attal convening a meeting of cybersecurity experts in the run-up to June's European Parliament elections. The European Union is also ordering big tech firms to help secure the upcoming polls amid fears of disinformation and online hacking threats. It comes as support for the far right and conservative parties are surging in countries like France, but also Germany, Italy, and Belgium. For more, let's speak to Dan Lomas, an assistant professor of international relations at the University of Nottingham. Hello to you, and thank you for speaking to France 24. Just how severe and real is this risk of election meddling?
Well, I think we need to divide this up into technical intervention in elections, where people are actively hacking into systems that you see, for example, in the United States, voter registration schemes, use of technical means of voting. That is more problematic, and it's even in the United States, where we've seen extensive election interference, that has been very difficult for hostile state actors like Russia, like China to do. What I think is we are more likely to see in a European setting is intervention via sort of hack and leak campaigns, so the hacking of sensitive documents and the leaking of these to shape electoral campaigns, or the use of online disinformation, which we've seen extensively, even on the other side of the Atlantic, where the United States has a robust system of laws and mechanisms in place to safeguard its own democracy. We are still seeing that states such as Russia, such as China, have tried to provide misinformation to cause divides within the US political system, open up existing grievances, and also erode long-term trust in the US and other democratic processes elsewhere. So I think we're going to see much more of that.
Yeah, and what sort of groups do you think would be most vulnerable to those attacks?
Well, again, we are seeing across a European setting that the more popular right within the German setting, we're seeing, for example, support for AfD. Within French context, we're seeing support for the French far right surging here. And what we are seeing is that hostile states are looking at legitimate grievances within wider European and transatlantic communities, and they're deciding to open up these grievances by stoking them with sort of paranoia and propaganda and misinformation and that kind of stuff.
And Dan, do you think EU governments are doing enough to take this threat seriously?
On one level, yeah. I mean, we are seeing post-Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it's become much easier, I think, for European governments to highlight the external threat of states. We did go through that awkward post-Cold War period where the rise of terrorism, for example, was seen as the more pressing security threat. Russia's invasion of Ukraine actually underlines the fact that we've started to see Russia and other states return as a major threat to European security. And European governments are fully alive to this and have started to respond. Whether or not you can fully guarantee election security is a different question, because I think in a globalized age, information flows, the free flow of ideas, the exchange of views across continents is always going to happen. And I think, as long as we are, wedded to the Internet of Things, we're always going to see hostile state intervention within democratic processes.
Yeah, and Dan, running out of time, so real quickly, any advice to voters about how to be aware of whether something looks suspicious online?
Well, I'd say just verify. The idea of going out there and checking one piece of information against other sources is one way of doing this. Just to go out there and, yes, verify, make sure you're not sharing misinformation you can see on various social media platforms.
All right, Dan, thank you very much. Dan Lomas speaking to us from Nottingham. Thank you.